So I'm Kevin Borg. I'm the great-great-grandson of Frank Borg, Sr. So the Borgs came here to the Missoula area to open up a jewelry business. So my great-grandfather, Frank Borg, Sr., was born in Missouri in 1875. His parents were Peter Olson Borg and Anna Borg. So his parents were both Swedish and immigrated to this country and started off in Illinois, opening up a jewelry business and coming this direction. His parents ended up in Heppner, Oregon. They came over the Oregon Trail by covered wagon. So anyways, Frank Sr. was about 4 or 5 when they did that. And his father was a jeweler in Heppner, Oregon, and for a while was mayor in Heppner. And their store in Heppner was the first store to get electricity in the town and, you know, all this great stuff. So anyways, my great-grandfather went to the schools there in Heppner in high school, and then came out here to the Bradley Institute, which now is the Bradley University. He was there in school in 1898. The Bradley School charter was in 1896. So he went to school there only the second year the college was in existence. And what he went there for was jewelry, opticals, watch and clock repair, and building. We have a clock that must have been his senior project in that college. That was a clock that he made in 1898. And the other day we got it out and looked at it and like, huh, okay. And then my aunt tipped it a little bit and started ticking again. So it was an amazing thing. So
It doesn't have the key?
It winds, it does all that, but we're taking it down the Bitterroot. There's a gentleman in Stevensville that restores and rebuilds old timepieces like that. So we're gonna have him clean it and service it so it will work again. Anyways, the business itself, the jewelry business here in Missoula, was located on the corner of Higgins and Broadway. There's a toy store there right now. But that was the original jewelry store. So, in August of 1909, my great-grandfather married my great-grandmother, Blanche Simpson, who is from the Bitterroot in the Stevensville area. And they came there in 1881. But the Simpsons immigrated here to the United States from Scotland well before the Revolutionary War. So, and then her family came to the Bitterroot by train, from Missouri to Glendive by train, and then the rest of the way by wagon, which, you know, was a feat in itself back in those days. Even though there was a train, that still took forever. So Blanche graduated from the University of Montana in 1905 and taught school in Corvallis and Missoula before she married my great-grandfather. They were both married in 1909. But that's a special date because my great-grandfather on that date started installing the courthouse clock. It was our jewelry business that purchased the clock. I have the original bill of sale at home, and it was our family's business that installed the clock in the courthouse.
The one that still looks out on
Yep, it's still there. It's still ticking. I've been up there, and, you know, I've seen all the handiwork. It's a trek to get up there. You start by climbing up a ship's ladder on the 3rd floor of the building. Then you go up an actual staircase they built. And you get up to a rickety old 100-year-old ladder that's like almost at a 45-degree angle. You crawl up into another room through a hatch. And that's where the big bell is. Now, when it strikes the hour and a half hour, you do not want to be in that room. I've been in that room when it struck. Then the next ladder up to the actual clock itself is more of a 90-degree angle ladder that's also 100 years old, up through another hatch.
And that's where you would acquire the workings of the gearing.
Yep. And that clock at one time was, you know, automatic winding by motor, and that didn't work. So now it's back to hand winding every 8 days. So anyways, the jewelry business also sold jewelry, fine china, cut glass, silverware, and watches and clocks and all sorts of stuff. And then what happened was that the business was still operating. And then my grandfather, Frank Borg Jr., was born in 1910. And his sister, my great-great aunt, which I have the exact privilege to have known her because she died when I was 12. Probably one of the few people alive that knew their great-great aunt. So, anyways, my grandfather helped in the jewelry business until World War II happened and he entered service. And he was a medical doctor and chemist stationed in Sydney, Australia. And before he worked in the jewelry business or anything, he graduated from the actual Paxton School here in Missoula County High School. He went to the University of Montana to get his degree in chemistry. And then from there, he went out to California to get his degree in his college in. Then from there is when he went to the war. But after the war, he came back and was the optometrist for my great-grandfather's store. So the store closed in 1955. So the clock that was out on the sidewalk, a lot of jewelry stores would have a clock in front of their jewelry business as advertisement saying this is a jewelry business. That clock is at the atrium at the university now. In the original safe, there were 2 of them. The bigger safe went to the university to their business department in the main hall. That safe is still there. We have the second safe, and I tell you what, when we moved it from my mom's house out to our place out in the country, it was a trick. The guy that moved it was a professional safe mover, and where he wanted to put it was down in the basement of our house, and the safe was unloaded from the truck and got away from him and rolled down a hill. So he had to call a tow truck in to hook onto the safe to roll it back up the hill. So it was a feat. I'm not moving it ever again. It's going to stay in that house for the rest of my natural born life and whoever else owns the place after me. So anyways, so my great-grandfather's daughter, Anna Catherine, was also a teacher. She went to Paxton in high school here and then went to California to the University of Columbia in New York to begin with, got her degree in teaching and taught at all over California. Before she became the assistant to the dean of the medical school at Berkeley. She was still living there when she died, when I was 12. But she was also in the Second World War. She was with the WAC, and she was stationed in Pearl Harbor. I don't know if she was there before the bombing or after. I'm assuming probably after. But anyways, the anyways, the way that it worked out was that, you know, there's still my aunt, my mother, and myself are the only Borgs left here in Missoula. And I'm the last one of the family. So when I go, I'm the last one of the Borgs. So what you will see in front of my great-grandfather's stone here is the original plaque from the front of the jewelry business. And years ago, I don't know if any of you remember, but in the Missoulian, there was an article about a guy out in East Missoula, a knife maker. So the story with that is that I was looking in the newspaper one day, and this guy was holding this plaque for this knife company, and he said that his father had found it in a scrap pile. And I looked at it, and it was this exact plaque, and I'm like, where did that come from? Because I thought I knew where everything was, you know. So my mother and myself go out there to talk to this gentleman, to introduce ourselves and stuff like that. So in talking with him, he says that a lot of jewelry businesses had approached him to ask if they could purchase the plaque, and he refused. And then he said he wanted to donate it to a museum, but he was kind of on the fence about it. So anyways, after talking to the gentleman for like an hour and a half, he slides that plaque across the table to us and says, "Here, take. It's going back to its rightful home where it belongs." So that's how we were able to get that, saving from scrap, because that plaque weighs like 30 pounds, and I have to put it in a backpack to transport it because it's so heavy. And so among the other items we have still are the original bill of sale for the courthouse clock, bits and pieces of actual watches and clocks and stuff, and, you know, and brand new stock, and lots of eyeglasses and, you know, stuff like that. And there's going to be an exhibit at the fort out at Fort Missoula on the local businesses. And our family's going to be one of the local businesses, so you'll be able to go there and see an exhibit with everything together. And so, well, anyways, this is a picture of my great-grandfather. And it's, you know, distinguished gentleman kind of thing, because he was also, when he passed on, they considered him to be a well-known businessman in Missoula. And on top of his other great stuff is that he was on the board of buildings and lands trust for Missoula. He was on the school board. He was a Mason and a member of the Rotary Club. So both him and my great-grandmother were really known in society in Missoula. And there's a group that my aunt belongs to that should call the As You Like It's. It's one of the oldest social groups in Missoula. My aunt calls them the fancy ladies, because that's what they are, like fancy ladies, because Tommy Lou Warden, before she passed, was a member of it. Lambros is a member of it. Lots of people are members of it. So my great-grandmother and my grandmother were both members of that club. So anyways, well, thank you. And thank you for being patient with my first time doing this. So
Well done.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yep.
Kevin.
Thank you.